Pokemon Reborn is an Emerald-style game that features content through Generation 7. With a gigantic world, 18 gym leaders, and a ton of new things like field effects that boost certain moves and types on different battlefields, this game is packed with content. I'll go over the story and my experiences so far and close the video with the pros and cons to make it easy for you to decide if Pokemon Reborn is a game worth playing. Instead of choosing one out of 3 starters, you can select any of the starter Pokemon between Generation 1 and Generation 7, and I went with Mudkip here. Directly after you get introduced to Kane, your rival so to say, he challenges you to a fight. There are a ton of main characters in this game and you will probably forget one or the other. He loses the fight, shows us the Pokemon Center, and the battle with Victoria follows. As far as I know, she always has a Litten while Kane has a Nidoran, so this doesn't change based on which starter you pick. A couple attacks later and we are level 7. While walking through the city, we notice that the stairs in this game are trippy and don't follow any laws of physics. After defeating a couple more trainers in this area, Mudkip evolves into Marshtomp and we encounter Fern for the first time. Fern is this type of NPC that you love but also hate. He is constantly passive-aggressive, which makes reading the dialogue actually fun. Also, what I forgot to mention, this game is pretty hard. I get myself a Kricketot in order to start the battle with those guys in front of the Pachirisu, and after they're defeated, we add it to the team. Fern's Rowlet is still really strong, but with the help of Pachirisu, we get past this point. Next, another main character appears, Julia. We meet her in front of this factory, which she breaks into through dynamite. Fern and his sister Florinia show up to accompany us inside the building. Here, Team Meteor did something bad, I don't know what, and so they got knocked out one after another. Eventually at the end of this, we encounter Aster, the bad guy who is in charge of this operation. Another battle here and they disappear for good. And you know what time it is? It's first gym time, yay. In every gym, we can talk to Amy at this terminal. She gives helpful tips and explains the gym system in Reborn. Every gym leader has a full team of 6 Pokemon and there are field effects that benefit the leader. Talking about which, look at the room she's in. This looks nice. With Marshtomp on our side, this should be fairly easy. Our Ikorio goes down after getting hit twice by Spark. Her shiny Alolan Geodude surprised me for a second until I remembered that the odds of finding a shiny in here is 1 in 93. And so this, like the rest of our team, goes down to Mudshot and we take the Volt Badge. Back to the Obsidian Ward we go, where those weird looking plants grow. In the south of the city, we meet with the main character number 2 again and face in a fairly one-sided battle. I black out and try it a second time. And a third time. Now it's time to actually enter this abandoned building. In here, there are 4 things that happened. First off, I was unable to make it past this jump puzzle because it was way too dark to see what I was supposed to do. We encountered a shiny Trubbish and a shiny Pancham that I both couldn't catch because I was out of Pokeballs. We find an egg which has a custom sprite as it tells you what type of egg this is. And finally, we figure out what was under this box. It was a Scraggy. And now it's us against 3 Scraggies and 1 Scrafty, and all of those are not catchable. By skillfully being overleveled for this area, I managed to not faint and get out of this place. Back in the city, we enter the Rainbow Store and start a puzzle in which we can turn these 16 pieces until the image makes sense. Needless to say, this only took me 14 minutes, and as a prize, we add Swirlix to our team. Only one last thing to do before we can move on, and that is talking to yet another main character with colorful hair until Kane appears and uses Surf or something similar to Surf to rescue this Popplio over here. Afterwards, we have to face him in battle, and again, due to the fact that we are slightly overleveled, this is over as soon as it started. With Kane out of the way for now, we head north and see the weirdest part of this game yet. The evil guys that call themselves Zell explain the reason behind this machinery which uses Tangrowth and its power to create all these plants around the city. And here comes the weird part. It's not the fact that Tangrowth is shiny and whatever, but it transforms into this. It's like a giant Cyclops monster, yeah. And so we take it out of its misery. And with a Scraggy that got traded to me and an NPC speaking the truth, I had my first couple hours in Reborn. The next day, it was time to enter the second gym, in which we not just have to face the gym leader, but also Fern. Both Sandile as well as Roselia are no problem. His day tricks, however, is as annoying as when it was a Rowlet a couple minutes ago. To make this quick, attempt number 1 was not it. Attempt 2 though, also went wrong. Same with the third attempt. On the 4th attempt though, we actually defeated Fern. This game is a lot harder than I expected. The riddle in this gym is pretty fun. You have to answer a bunch of questions to turn off each terminal. Florinia is also called the Desert Flower as she specializes in grass and ground types. I can tell you, this was probably the hardest battle I had so far. After roughly a dozen attempts, I found a strategy that works. I stop using Play Rough on Swirlix to lower the attack of Maractus, and then switch into Scraggy, which was traded to me and happens to know Dragon Dance and Drain Punch, and yeah. So I D-Dance while she switches to Breloom, knock it out with an Ice Punch, proceed to Dragon Dance a couple more times, maybe 3, and eventually I'm boosted enough to pretty much one-hit everything. In all honesty though, without this Scraggy, there would have been no way for me to actually win in this fight. With the second batch in our collection, we make our way back to the beginning and then go north to enter the Barrel Ward. This place is fairly damaged and full of those green plants that are caused by a Tangrowth in one of those machines from earlier. In here, we accept a side quest, so to say, in which we have to find and rescue 5 policemen to be rewarded with a Growlithe. Long story short, for the next hour or so, we entered building after building and searched everywhere to find an Emolga that joins our team and eventually ended another Tangrowth in a machine. The nice guy we talked to turns out to be yet another Team Meteor admin called Taka. I Dragon Dance against his Chatot, which deals a tiny bit of damage, and thanks to me being confused and losing the coin flip, I hit myself and lose the fight. Second attempt and things look better. Chatot and Tangrowth go down to Scraggy, and Tangrowth is safe now. But then, we encounter yet another main character called Heather. But let's focus on the important things instead. We get a monkey, and also we get trapped in this cage by wild Nuzleafs. Yeah, things are weird around here. Fern stops by to laugh at us and offers to help us out, but we decline under those conditions. A bird helps us out though, and we make it out of here. Before we can leave the forest though, we have to deactivate those 3 lines of spikes at the top, for which we have to get to all 3 levers. I don't know what it is, but getting to the last one is really simple and obvious. However, I expected this passage to be blocked by the trees, because it looked like it. Well, yeah, no, you could have just walked past them. Anyways, we find the third Tangrowth and join Heather in a double battle against some of the main characters from earlier. Glaceon, Espeon, and Umbreon stand no chance, and Tangrowth is no problem either. Afterwards, the evil guys just walk away and we make it to the third gym, not questioning what just happened. The gym leader in here turns out to be Heather's father, who is a little disappointed with her. Scraggy manages to pretty much solo carry this entire gym, and now would be the part where we receive the next gym badge, right? Yes, so he tells us to meet him on the bridge. So we get there and witness how he gets rid of his entire team and jumps down the bridge. Fern joins in that makes fun of him, and I don't know how to handle these situations, so let's just go to a happier place. Ignore the rain and the overall depressing mood in here, this is a happy place. Like in most big cities, we start by joining a gang. Team Aqua welcomes us as a new member after we defeat some of their grunts and talk to the guy in charge. With that random encounter out of the way, we start the next part of story dialogue that consists of roughly 8 minutes of uninterrupted talking. I 100% did read everything in here, and so I can tell you that we go on a mission to save Victoria from an underground gem mine. If you were to ask me why, I don't know. At the end, we talk with this guy who wants to get rid of this place to restore the beauty of the world. Or something like that. Victoria joins us in a double battle against Asta and Eclipse that happen to use a Soul Rock and Lunatone, like the gym leaders of the 7th gym in Emerald. By using one single move called Drain Punch, we knock out their entire team, save Victoria, and go back to the Lapis Ward. The big building in the center of the city gives off a bad feeling, and there's also this girl with pink hair running out of it. Inside, we learn about the facility's function. It's an orphanage with some weird methods, like the doctor in here who is into treatment through electricity, that also wants to battle. His Slowpoke, Magneton, and Electrike don't stand a chance, and so we defeat him and leave this place. Back inside the next gym, we read the story dialogue and have a final battle against Victoria before we can enter the actual gym area. From all the riddles, this is probably the hardest one yet. When you talk to any of these PCs, it raises the bookshelves by 1 unit of the same color. The goal is to activate them in the correct order to create a passage from the left to the right, and I can tell you, using Google for this made it a little easier. I couldn't figure it out on my own, so I gave up roughly 20 minutes in. With an evolved monkey and a Bronzong, I felt ready for the upcoming battle. As per usual, it took like 10 attempts and a lot of planning, but here's how we get past this point. Monkey uses acrobatics to one-hit Illumise, which first uses Rain Dance, and Masquerain gets hit hard through Emolga's acrobatics. Next we switch into Bronzong and knock out the Masquerain. Monkey dies and we send out Sandslash after Confusion dealt more than half HP and damage on Anorith. A second Confusion gets rid of Anorith, while Sandslash uses Dick. Eventually it dies and Bronzong barely survives, giving us the option to hypnotize Araquanid and send in Emolga. Through Acrobatics and Ice Punch, we get past these two and only a single Volbeat remains to be dealt with. It took forever, but this difficult battle is finally over. And I think this makes for a good point to wrap up the video and talk about the pros and cons of Pokemon Reborn. On the upside, there is so much story in this game to fill an entire book. I feel like if you added Gen 1 through 7 all together in like one giant storyline, this is Reborn. The length is just insane for this story. On top of that, the map is also gigantic. I felt like it's like 3 times the size of Sinnoh. Then, in addition to that, there are also tons of side quests. Like, I think up until this point, I encountered like 5 or 6 side quests, and I probably missed a bunch because I didn't talk to every NPC. In battle, at least against gym leaders and in important battles, there are terrain and field effects, with so much to it. There are certain moves that get boosted, certain effects that get lowered. It's like competitive battling with extra additions to it. When it comes to battling, some trainers in here just have 6 Pokemon. It feels like you encounter gym leaders on the street on the daily. The gym leaders also have 6 Pokemon. The battles are definitely really difficult, and you will black out more than once. So if you try to play this game as a Nuzlocke, might be really hard. But now to the cons. Even though the story is a giant upside as there's a lot of things to explore and there are many side quests and so on, it's really hard to follow what actually happens. Even though I'm not a big fan of Generation 7 with the Rotom Dex that kind of just tells you what to do, or like in Sword and Shield where it tells you on the map where you need to go next and what happens, having that in Reborn would be great. Considering that there are so many main characters and it's really easy to lose focus, I would like to have some addition to it that makes it easy to understand what we are about to do and what the next goal is in the game. You might say just look at the map and figure it out. Well, this is the map. Do you know where you are? I don't. The important places don't look different to any other place. It's like a giant artwork. And while it looks pretty, having some detailed zoom in functions that show you the actual route that you can take would be really nice, which is also missing in here. And then while I mentioned that battles are difficult, some of them are really just frustrating. Like unless you over level and just one hit everything, trying to go with a strategy that works is really luck-based, I would say, because it depends on which Pokemon you got so far. If I would have never gotten Scraggy, for example, I would still be at the 2nd gym. And then when it comes to the leveling part, the XP scale based on your level. And they don't scale up, they scale down. Kind of like in Black and White, I think. So if I'm level 15 and I destroy level 2 Pidgey, I get like 1 XP. So you have to make progress and you have to go further in the story. And eventually, trying to level up is just a giant waste of time. You can buy rare candies though for I think 20,000 Pokedollars, but for that you will need to make a lot of money, which you also don't do in this game. So to wrap it up, with the pros and cons out of the way, if you search for a game with a deep story that is difficult and challenging, has a bunch of characters, Pokemon Reborn is definitely something for you. If you search for something that only takes like 10 to 20 hours, like a couple days of playing, which is fairly easy and enjoyable, Reborn is not it. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care.